bexbugoutsurvivor, and today I've got the VANGO Orion 200. So I took a gamble with the Orion, hoping it was going to be every bit as good as the Tempest and the Banshee. The Orion has two hoops, foot and head, of more or less equal height. It's marketed at £140. This particular one was £99. So that's the Orion 200, and 200 being two person. So if you are in a relationship, you can get air pads and sleeping bags which are designed for a couple. It's still tight for two people. We all probably know this is going to be realistically a one person tent and the kit. I'm going to show you a slightly different way of putting this up. Little lazy man's method. Blue for the head end, the brown section indicating the foot end. So I will upgrade some of these to stronger pegs. I don't really care about the weight because the weight of the tent isn't a lightweight backpacking tent. These are to hold down a band at the door section. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and usually by the time I've counted from my right hand into my left, I'll have found I've lost one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was lucky that time. Here's the thing, if it's not windy, I can pitch this in 4 stakes, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and all the rest will be for tension on the guy lines and maybe putting one in each corner. Now what I'm going to do is pitch this without moving. So first, the ground mat with the orange bands. I'm going to face away from the wind, so I'm going to have the wind coming at me. And yet VANGO insist it's faced door into the wind for ventilation purposes. I don't like that idea. If you open the door and the wind is blowing in, that has turned your tent into one massive kite. So without moving my position, I'm going to put the tent up and start threading the pole through the sleeve here. Now a lot of people will fully extend this pole to its maximum and then start threading through. Again, I just see little benefit. It causes more problems. It's either going to get caught up in the thicket, or if you're camping with someone, it's going to be banging into them, having their eye out. I just snap one together as and when I come to the end of one. Put the last one in. Need to find the grommet on the other side and put that in. So this is the brown coloured pole indicating it's the foot, and the foot end has the vent. Do the same for the head end. I'm just going to pop 2 together for a start. The sleeves are very generous in size for the poles. Some tents have this sleeve so tight it makes it difficult. With VANGO there's no issue like that at all. Bring another section out as I require it. Two hoops been threaded. I'm still in situ where I started, so I'm just going to peg out the vestibule door here. 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and that's all I need to put this into its first position. The first loop is on the tension strap here. By the time I come round to the back and do the same, it'll pull out into the shape it needs to be. Air vent is on Velcro here on a stiff band. And that's me in on 4 pegs. It's handy just for a quick downpour, that method, but I'm going to pitch out all 4 corners of the actual tent itself now and the guy lines, which brings us to these pegs here with the loops which go through this band here, and it's to stop you tripping over this and keeps this band flat on the ground. Now remember, the footprint that I put the tent up still hasn't moved. The only moving I did was to pitch the 2 pegs out at the very rear. These orange bands I'm going to put over the tent stakes at the front, a snap clip and a round toddle is on the end of that webbing. You won't be able to see it, but I can just snap it into place on there. So there's the pocket, here's the door, and stow that away there. Let's have a look at the easy glide system of this. It claims to be a one-handed operation. That was handy. Now I can stow it in that pocket. It's actually guyed out into its thirds on the pole. Four corners to do and 4 guy lines in total. Let's have a look at the ventilation. 2 windows. They are fixed. You can't unzip them, they're not on Velcro. Has this arched window, which again can be unzipped separately. I suppose the issue I have with it is the wind coming in here. I could put this sheet down and have my cook set right here and close off the inner so I don't condensate the inside where you are. Without this sheet on the front, it's obviously going to blow my stove. I don't think you should have this facing into the wind. So personally, that is why I would pitch the door against the wind. The denier of the fabric of the outer shell here is 70. That is tough. If you want a tent for snow load on the ridge there on the top of the tent, you're going to have to be looking at a semi-geodesic pole system where the poles cross from front to back. If you're not going to be camping out in the elements with snow load and you're more concerned about the wind, this shape is the best for you, the tunnel. It also has the TBS system, tension band. This tension band is sewn directly through the tent from inside to outside and comes off this line here on the buttle which attaches up here. So now the TBS is clicked in. It is pretty rigid and I am shaking this tent from side to side here with the TBS in place. 2 TBS down that end as well. 2 of the strongest shapes in engineering will be an arch and a triangle. I like to use the Thermarest inflatable pad in here, and there is enough room for my air pad of 2 meters 10. Now always disconnect your TBS system before you pack away. The coating has 5,000 millimeters of hydrostatic head. This is weather resistant, ready, out of the box and into the field. And the hydrostatic head on the SIG is 6,000, strengthening patches on all four corners. One thing with VANGO tents is I wanted to know the air gap, and that is how it is between inner and outer. The pitch time on this, I think they're calling it 7 minutes. I think 7 minutes, even with mittens on, you could easily achieve that. I'm doing this in less than 3 minutes. The inner and the outer are already connected at the factory. 2.6 kilos on my scales. That's with all the pegs, both parts, inner, outer, the vestibule, everything. It's not the lightest tent. And I'm actually using a top quilt to sleep in rather than a sleeping bag onto my down air pad. So I can save a lot of weight over a big winter sleeping bag by using a big winter down top quilt. A lot of people aren't ready for the change, I think, yet to top quilts. They'll view them with suspicion. Above here at the door end are 2 sleeves, one here, and you can put your torch, your head torch in there, and this mesh is said to diffuse the LED light. The mesh storage nets on either side here, VANGO are calling them dump pockets. But in all honesty, I think I'd rather just stick to having my trowel and digging a hole outside. My total pack weight with this tent, using my 900 gram feathered air pad and my 900 gram top quilt over a sleeping bag, my cook set, this tent, that's my base weight, is coming in at exactly 7 kilos. Okay, so that is stove, fuel, tent, pad, top quilt. So you would be looking at the seasons where there are strong winds. I'm going to deassemble mine now, and I'm going to show you how I use this. What I'll need to do is fold it all into thirds and then roll it all up to the same width as the bag. Not really, it's a stuff sack, I'm stuffing it. There you go, whole tent in now. That's everything. You can fold all you want. It really doesn't bother me how you do yours. This is how I do mine. Not a one size fits all world. All I need to do to get this into shape is dig my fingers in halfway like this, start rolling, find the band, bring it around, click in, start rolling from the midpoint, fingers in, squeeze it together. This is so much easier than standard tent sacks. It's the best feature of this tent, I think. So I never did figure out why the Orion 200 was such a bad seller, how there are hardly any reviews on it online. It is a mystery. 2 reviews are found on a camping blog, and both of them people said it's certainly on par with the rest of the VANGO range. I think the only reason people have the Tempest and the Banshee is people are like sheep. I wanted to take a chance with the Orion, and I haven't been disappointed. I've had VANGO before. I had the VANGO Blade 100. I was super impressed with VANGO. Scottish company. I'm in Wales, and the camping company in Wales is Gallet, and the English pronounce that Jallet. There is no letter J in the Welsh alphabet, and Gallet is named after Prince Llewellyn's dog, who was called Gallet, and you can actually visit the dog's grave, Bedd Gallet, meaning Gallet's grave. And there are some amazing camp spots at Bedd Gallet, so you can get yourself a tent, take yourself for a journey into North Wales, find Bedd Gallet and learn the story of how he accidentally killed his faithful dog and buried him below a tree, which you can actually visit. I have a winter tent, so I really didn't need another one. I also have the Slummit Cub 2, an amazing tent. That is the one that's 3.6 kilos. And yes, it is a motorbiking tent, and yet I put it in my backpack. I don't care, I love it. I also reviewed the DD Bivvy tent, the tarp tent. 720 grams of tent is what appealed to me. Garbage, hated it. I still do hate it. And that cost me £135, and it's only single skin. This is double skin, 2-wall tent. That's why I like this. And it was nearly 40 quid cheaper. I'm not going to remove the orange guidelines for a wild camp. So there's a difference between a stealth camp and a wild camp. I really would remove all the orange things off a tent for a stealth camp. In fact, I don't use tents for stealth camp at all. I'd rather have a bivvy bag and lie down on the floor, and maybe a basher above me if the weather gets more inclement. A wild camp is different. You can pitch whatever tent you want, wherever you want, but you've got to also know that wild camping here in the UK is illegal. There are only 2 places I know in the UK that allow it. Dartmoor is one of them, and there's very, very strict guidelines. You need to take all your garbage home with you, which you should anyway, anywhere, and you cannot pitch over 1 night or maybe 2 nights, and there is a no fires rule, and failure to comply to them rules when wild camping will result in the death penalty. I really love the VANGO Orion. Why it isn't a big seller like the Banshee and the Tempest and the Mirage, I don't know. I couldn't resist it. It was a bargain. VANGO, Scottish company, fantastic reputation. If I won some kind of lottery, I would have a VANGO tent at the end of every week. We'll be out tomorrow night testing this for maybe 1-2 nights. All I have to do is put a stove system into this pack and I'm gone. So until really soon, as usual, you take good care of yourself, and I will see you out there. Happy trails.